And I will say something about the layoffs that nobody reports on. Again, I'm a big point of comparison, right? I think it's hard to draw from data without comparing it to something else.
Yeah.
The one thing that nobody talks about or reporting on that I see is, yes, there's massive layoffs. And yes, all these companies, including real estate companies that are letting go of people and mortgage companies letting go of people. But what nobody reports on, Steve, is how many people they hired over the past 2 years.
Yeah.
You know, and so
100%.
Right? So you have to look and say, wow, if a company had, I'm just making something up.
Yeah.
If a mortgage company had 1,000 people, and because demand was so high over the last 20 months that they grew to 3,000,
Yep.
and they let go of, call it 1,000 people, they're still net 2,000. They're still up 1,000 employees. Nobody reports on that.
Right,
They just reported on they let go of 1,000 people. Well, we let go of 1,000 people because in the last 20 months, we needed a lot of help. Right. And so that's something to keep in context as well. So, all right, let's get back
Let's get away from that. Let's talk about how bad the housing market's doing.
All right, so let's talk about the housing market. So, Realtor.com, every week, I love it. They put out a report every single week. And so this week, they report on 4 different topics. So let's talk about the first one, median list price. And so the list price grew by 11% year over year. This is the crazy thing. As people are talking about home prices falling, this, that, or the other thing, I mean, the list price grew, right? That's not sold price. I get it. And that's not average home price. But home prices aren't dropping the way that I think people are leading others to believe.
It's an activity recession.
That's right.
Not a price recession.
Yeah, that's a great point. Meaning, go deeper.
So there's still a limited supply of homes. So there's 2 things that are keeping people in their homes, right? There's nothing better, right? So what are you going to upgrade to? And rates, there's what are you going to get that's better? It's still inventory's up, right? Inventory's up 45% year over year or something for this time of year, which is normal.
That's right.
Inventory always increases this time of year.
Yep.
But the other part of it is there's rate lock.
Yeah.
Right. So so many people refinanced at such low rates that they don't have to, people will say, I am not going to sell my home or discount the sale of my home because I need that money knowing that rates are higher to achieve what payment I want on my new house.
Right.
And the thing is, it's just being on the street, I see it, I feel it so much differently than you get it in the news because 1, it's delayed, and 2, it's skewed. But my buyer business picked up immediately. Over the last week was really, you could really sense a different a feeling in the market, and that's because as soon as these rates drop enough, and people that were on the sidelines, because if you think about it, a $250,000 loan at 7% and 6 3/8% is $150 a month.
Right.
That's starting to feel good because we got some context now.
Let's go. Right.
We saw what it was.
It's a good point.
So as these rates come down, there's going to be more demand for these homes. Builders are not building spec homes. There's not a bunch of condos going up.
Yeah.
And then there's, for what homes that are like what they say, like replacement homes, right? So if a home's destroyed by fire, there's still a family that has to go somewhere.
That's exactly right. And let me show you this really quick. And I love, and I'll give credit where credit's due. Redfin also has great U.S. housing data that comes out every single month. Let me share my screen so the audience can see this real quick. Yeah, I want to show this to you guys. All right. So if you look at my screen right now, all right, so this is sales price. We're not talking about list price now, okay? This is closed sales price. Right now, year over year, home values are still up 3% year over year. We haven't seen them fall. So when people are saying, oh, home prices are falling, they're talking about the point of how high they are going in value, right? And so if you look at the chart, you say, okay, there's 2019, 2020, 2021. That's the blue arrow or line, red and orange. If you see where we're at right now, we're still above, even though year over year home values are up 3%, we're still way above where we were at pre-pandemic over the past 2 years, where we've seen record high home prices.
Right.
And so that's, again, I like to show comparison, and I like to give people context. Because you can take the average sales price that reached an all-time high of $440,000 and say, okay, well now the average sales price to that graph is $400, call it, and say, wow, that dipped, right? But compared to what, right?
Right.
And so,
exactly.
It's just important. I mean, home values are still up. That's the point.
Right.
That's
I
the
know.
point.
And there's not for you're going into a recession. You're going to see foreclosures pick up. You're going to see activity we're 100% in a home purchase activity recession. Like
For
the
sure.
activity
There's no doubt.
is way down, driven by mortgage rates. The thing is there's so much data out there now, and the U.S. consumer is so much smarter that they're looking at it and they're saying, we know rates are going to go down. Like there is enough we know that, and now we're going to play that.
Yeah.
You know, we're going to sit on the sidelines. But what nobody thinks about is the chicken or the egg thing, right? So as soon as rates go down enough where everybody's feeling like ready to go and get in a house, well, there's still no more houses.
Yeah.
You know, so what happens? Like, well, money's cheap enough again. Like, let's get in there and let's start making some offers on homes. And all of a sudden, you've got home prices going back up or stabilizing.
Yeah.
Right. So again, that's why I just don't see that, Matt. Will home prices come down? Yes, they have to. That
Absolutely.
is not a bad thing. It was unsustainable
Yeah.
for home prices to go up 20% a year. Like, that's insane.
Yeah, it's just
know?
a crash that we think that everyone's talking about. That's
Right.
not going to happen. So median listing price grew by 11% year over year. New listings, which is a measure of sellers putting their homes up for sale, were again down, dropping 18% from 1 year ago. This marks the 19th week year over year declines in homeowners listing their home for sale. So, yes, inventory is growing, and it's up 45% from about a year ago as a result of the lack of sales. But there's still people on the sideline, to your point, that are not listing. And so as soon as these mortgage rates come down, I think we can see a big spike in the spring. The only other thing that they reported on this week worth mentioning is that days on market homes are selling a tad bit slower, which is about 8 days slower than this time last year. So it'll be interesting. There's a couple, I think, reports coming out worth mentioning in the next couple of days.
So the next couple of days, we're going to get, and you're going to see the fear mongering and the foreclosure fairies and, you know, all the, like, how bad the market's going to get. Like, we're going to see a lot of housing data next week.
Yeah. What's coming out next week?
I believe, and it might even be coming out today. It's existing home sales, which is really the big one.
Mm-hmm.
So earlier this week, we saw a lot of information around new home construction.
Yeah.
And so, you know, those numbers really came down big time. Housing starts and completions. And going back to what you're saying about listings and things like that, these builders learned their lessons before, right?
100%.
They learned their lesson, and that they're not going to go out and build spec homes. Well, I will tell you from hands-on experience, building a home today it's not as expensive as everybody would say, right? Like, you're not going to go out there and pay like millions of dollars for, you know, like the prices are fine and you can get it the way you want it, but the process of building a home is hard.
Yeah.
Like, it's not like you're not going to the GMC dealer and picking the options on your new Yukon,
right?
You know,
right,
where you're
right.
like, I want leather, I want this, and you get it. Like, building a home is a major undertaking, and there's a move and a sale and a buy and, you know, like painting and toilet paper. There's so much more to it that people are like, they don't want to go through that process, and there's not spec homes to do it. And so we're just, again, I'm probably being redundant, but there's just no inventory. Like, there's no new supply coming out, right?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, the inventory is up some, but these are the good houses are getting gobbled up.
Yeah, they are. You know, I was you're right. I mean, I was on a coaching session I told you about earlier this week, and I still have agents that I'm coaching that if they list a good home at a good price, they're still getting multiple offers.
Yeah.
Right now.
I'm seeing it in my business right now.
Absolutely.
People getting crushed.
Absolutely. So, yeah, we'll probably do another update early next week when we get the existing home sales report, because that is a big one. You're right, because as soon as that thing comes out, people have a field day with it.
Yeah, for sure.
So I want to look at the data. I want to give people something to compare it to, and so we'll report back on that.
Yep, for sure.
So until next time, appreciate you guys' attention.